what do you choose? You don't have the guns, you don't have the firepower, and so you choose, okay. Some of them chose to die, but otherwise they chose, what could they do? You had women with children. That is how they took their first one. That is how Christopher Columbus, notice the phrase, they say that Christopher Columbus discovered America. He never got to America. He got to the West Indies, but he discovered, Isabel, what is it? Dominican Republic, that's what it was. And he said he discovered. Why did they call it he discovered America? Because he had the document or the doctrine of discovery. They made it up. And they took it to the Catholic Church at that time and told the Pope, will you bless this? We will give you slaves also. The Pope said yes. And the Pope blessed it, and they came up and they handed it back to them, put the Pope's seal on it, and handed it back to Portugal. That was the first one. And the Portuguese took it, went down into Africa, and began preaching the gospel, what they called the gospel. And the gospel was preached in such a way, there were things that were put in and things that were taken out that were used based on think tanks in Portugal to be able to capture the minds of the people in the African coasts, in the Canary Islands. This is how it began. The religion of Christianity was used. It is not what you would call the gospel. It is not the actual teachings of Jesus. It is a twisted version. And what we have been doing for 45 years, ALC, just letting you know, we have been seeking to untwist it. That's the reason I was in school. There's different schools in America. I'm not going to even call it. They got SMU, they got your Evangelical, the Southwest, and they got College of Biblical Studies. I'm not calling any names. But these were schools that taught evangelical Christianity and stayed away from certain subjects called, like the doctrine of discovery. They stayed away from manifest destiny. They stayed away, in other words, from the subjects that where people claim God sent them. They believed that God sent them down into Africa and on into America, and they were to use enslavement to build what God had given them as a plan. That is why they don't want to pay the indigenous people back, and they don't want to pay reparations, because the question is, we don't owe you anything. When we enslaved you, it was ours. This was ours. We owned you. And that's where the problem comes in. They thought it was over, but it was used the same way as the gospel to be able to enslave the minds of people in America. Why would you bring it up now? I have been bringing it up for 45 years, but in such low doses. If you were to add up, if you could go back and to messages that I've done over the years, overflowing life, all these different things, if you were heaven in your heart, all of these different things where the doctrine was skewed to one thing, to untwist what evangelical Christianity had done to black minds. I didn't go to those other colleges. I went to Bishop College. Bishop College is a black HBCU that is no longer in existence. I was there in the 70s. In the 70s was after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And the preachers of those particular days, dates, and times were not happy campers. They had killed our ministers. We were not happy at all. So what was taught in schools was the unveiling of the reality of Christianity. Now that's why you hear we are followers of Jesus Christ and his teachings. We were fine with being Christian until they started raping the doctrine and the definition of it to fit their ability to take other countries. Now America is coming back with the doctrine of discovery, saying we can go anywhere and take what we want again. What you're looking at is empire building. They had stopped doing it around the Bush era. America was trying to pull away from empire building. But now you have a government in because we chose the wrong time not to vote. The wrong time. But it's here. You say, well, quit reminding us. Oh, we will never stop reminding you. And it's not us, it's your government. And this is the time, and why would you talk like this now? We don't have much time. There will come the executive orders and the decisions for black preachers to shut up about what they're saying now. In other words, preachers, teachers, educators. I'm not a preacher. I'm an educator. When well, you a preacher? I say, I'm not a preacher because your definition of preacher is off. So I'm not going to let you call me a preacher. That's why I don't let you call me a Christian, because your definition of Christian is off. I choose what you call me. Dr. Miles Monroe, some of you are in that meeting that night when Dr. Miles Monroe stood and made me stand up on that stage in ALC Central Cathedral and pointed his finger at me and says, you are no longer a pastor, you are no longer a preacher, you are now an educator. And that's where it started. That's where Dr. Ed Montgomery came from. That's where all of that began. And so that's where the heaviest study all started. What we have right now is, if they will do it to Nigeria. We're watching Marco Rubio stand and talk about, listen, I know these people are corrupt. I know at the top there's corruption and I understand, in these countries and everything. I am not naive and standing up for Venezuela. If I stand for anything, I stand for the people that are there who are innocent and who are hurt and don't know what they're going to do. You have a lot of refugees and people who are here on visas that are so frightened they won't even come outside right now. These are the people that I stand for. These are the people that I will protect. These are the people that I look out after, people who cannot stand up with a voice of their own. So they entrust us, black people, Venezuela, other people, Latina, the whole Latino community. They trust us with the voice. So this is what I have to do, because I understand that voice will not belong. Oh, they're going to take it from the Christians. They're going to take it from the black Christians, not the other ones. Your churches down the street will stay up. The money will stay flowing. And unfortunately, some of our people will be writing the big checks in those churches. And what will happen is they will have to shut us down, because we will keep teaching who we are. And that is what must stop in America, because they've already stopped it in school. It's been stopped in school. It's out of your textbooks. Now we're at a point where you're going to hear your teaching about who you are and who all of us are as a people. Where do we come from? They're going back to teaching the creation as they taught it in Adam and Eve and in Genesis. If I were to play, I'm going back on the radio tomorrow, which I'm thinking about playing this thing that took place, this whole thing that took place at Charlie Kirk's wife's event, and playing some of the messages that came out, messages that where they actually had major time, where they stood out and said it was white people who built this country, and we will take it back. And we no longer are ashamed. We will tell you what, we're not going to ask you anything. We will tell all of you what we are going to do from now on. This was there. They may have me out of that seat, but it don't matter. This is what happened. I'm talking about your vice presidents. These are the people that are already saying it's time for us to open our mouths and stop listening and pulling back when black people talk to us and everything, and we're taking it. They already started when they took the masks off with COVID to kill you and to make you die. You think, they took it off because of faith? They didn't take it off because of no faith. Y'all took it off not because of your faith. Y'all took the mask off because of their faith. And their faith wasn't worth a dime. The countries that took their masks on, even without the vaccinations, had low rates because they cared for other people. You're in a country that does not care for other people overall, not everybody. This is capitalistic. This is about money. And you're going to have to learn about this money thing and how this thing actually works, how it happens, how it moves. And the first thing is going to have to happen is, and hear me closely, there are some people that are physically leaving America. You are going to have to mentally, that's my number one point, leave America. You're going to have to be in it, but not of it. In it, but not of it. Mentally, you're going to have to begin to build your own thing with your own folk. We've talked about it before. But now, and it's not going to be radical. I ain't into this and I ain't into this America. Yeah, you're going to be in America. You can't be, you're going to be in the country. You're going to play the basketball game, football games. You're going to do all the things that the country do. But your mind must come to the point that when they sing the Star Spangled Banner, they ain't talking about how much they love you. When they start singing God Bless America, they talking about themselves. There is going to be a movement in this country, and what's going to happen is when you start seeing the message change in your churches, beware. I'm going to let you know what that's going to look like. What's her name? The rapper. Precious girl, precious daughter of the Lord. I love her. The rapper. She was at the Charlie Kirk thing. What's her name? Yeah, Precious. No, seriously, these are kids to me. This is to, not y'all, but to me. These are kids to me. She was nice, and she was very nice to me. And she was very nice because Simeon, we were at when we were going through American Idol, Nicki Minaj was right there, in our corner and stuff like that. And so I will always remember those kind of moments and things of that sort. And I don't blame the students for twisted minds. I blame the teachers. And I'm trying to figure out where were our people. And it's not always our people's fault when we don't have the algorithms, or we don't have the money power to be able to do what we do. You have to understand how ALC got to where ALC was. How was the cathedral built? How was, you have no idea how it was. It was built, they called it faith. It was beyond faith. It was beyond faith. How was ALC built? How did the notoriety of ALC become? It wasn't because we had an anointing more than anybody else. I know folks like to think that. I'd like to think that myself. But we already knew it was not that we had a greater anointing the other church down the street or the other church over there. When we built the cathedral, it wasn't that we built it because we had greater this or greater that or greater people working and understanding knowledge and things of that sort. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, when it came to the music, when it came to the production, when it came to other things, everybody else was sitting around. That's why you see the gray hairs. I had to go in there, writing, clicking, all of your television shows. I know y'all thought it was somebody else that did this wonderful editing that I paid. No, it was your pastor. It was me going home after Sunday, clicking, putting on VCRs, coming up with in points and out points, writing every commercial, writing every single program for the television show that we had, the ins and outs, created the entire thing. All the look, how the lines of resolution had to take place. Had to sit down and go to school with these people while I'm a pastor and everything else to be able to learn the art of television. I didn't go to school for this. I had to learn it on the fly. Anybody that say, well, he's not a real doctor, you're a liar. I am a big-time doctor at Montgomery. Well, he didn't go to Harvard. Well, yeah, I did. I went to Harvard online. I went to Harvard in the books. I had to crack Harvard books in order to understand. Because ALC believes in one thing, and one thing I believed in, and anybody that works here believes in. In other words, we will be better than ourselves. I don't need to be better than somebody else. We will be better than ourselves. We will not look less than a Second Baptist or less than a Lakewood. I'm talking about television looks now. We will not be less than ABC, CBS, or NBC. We will not look less. We will always have that clarity. I will push for it as hard as I can until my money says you can't buy this, Dr. Ed. You can't buy the rest of this look. So I'll be satisfied with that look we got. Then I'll turn around and tweak it. And even if it's a little illegal, I'll make it look like it's supposed to look until they come get me. Okay. And I know why y'all chuckling, because y'all know too. Y'all know what some of the stuff y'all had to do just to get to where you are. And don't worry about it. The blood covers all of it. You already heard that this morning. 2020 says it's already covered. Covered. And so this is how things were built. And then I would bring other people in. The people you saw, I trained them. In the meetings, I sat them down. I know they act like they did everything. I hear them out there, and I just smile because it's wonderful. But I trained them. A few musicians I didn't train because they were good, because I always had to have good musicians around me. And that's why people wonder, why he ain't. Don't worry. I'm going back to practicing my own piano again if I have to. But what you understand is these are the things when you can't get certain things done. I sure don't want to go back into no internet. I can't go. Listen, at this time now, 25 years ago, I'd have went back in and studied television and production and everything else. But this internet thing, this social media thing, I don't want nothing to study on. I am going to depend upon, I knew how to build with the algorithm. I knew how to build with the analog. And that's my sound telling me stop. I knew how to build with my analog, but this is whole digital media is a whole different world now. But I do know one thing. and you're probably going to get sick of me, and that is saying to ALC, I need you to go home and click this button. We did a writing campaign. That's how we round up on covers of magazines, because ALC wrote all these letters telling other people around the nation how great we were. And I would say, write this letter and tell everybody that Dr. Ed is the greatest thing since this, and this. Well, I don't know what to say. I said, I'm going to write and tell you what to say. But that's not real. I said, it's very real. I don't want you writing your own stuff. I'm going to write different letters, and you tell them he's this, and this. And the only reason they don't know who I am. But see, here's the difference with me. However far I went up, I took my people with me. Okay? Now, some of them went on and said I didn't, but I did. I took my people with me. I let them know who the folk was I was connected to. I let them know who the stars and everything else I was hooked up to, so they could, and they got along, and they went behind my back and did certain things, but it was all right because I didn't mind, because that was my goal anyway. You can't go nowhere by yourself. You have to have other people with you. Say, other people with you. So number one in 2026 is you are going to have to restart. Say restart. No, I'm sorry, reset. Say reset. It is a reset. One of my family members, one of my siblings had found out she had had a stroke, and it was several mini strokes she had had, and was 3 days before she finally got to the hospital. And she had got to the hospital, they called me just recently, and she's there, and they're letting her out, and she's got to get back into life again, but somehow it didn't hit the wrong side or something. Well, what happened was, she said, the doctor said to her, well, it was almost, it's a little brain bleed, but it's almost like a reset. And when I heard it, my spiritual things kicked in. This is what you must understand about me. I can't speak a word to somebody just like that. I'm not one of them folk out there in the streets, that prophets that come up to you and tell you, yeah, I say to the Lord and everything, your credit card number is this, and this. It's not me. There has to be that moment. This is where you're in one of these moments. It is, and these things, I don't have notes. If you notice, I don't have notes. And the reason I don't have notes is because I can't read them. Physically, my eyesight, I cannot, that's why when you get notes from me, if I write you a handwritten note, the words will bleed up into the other words. And some people will ask the question, well, then Pastor, why write them? I said, because I want it from my hand. There are some things that I must send to people from my hand, because there's certain levels of gifts that people give. They must come from my hand, the thank yous, because as I touch it, there is an energy that comes from it, from touch. Then when they open that thing up in the mail and they may think they're just reading the note, but what they don't understand is the prayer has already been done, that the touching of the thing releases a certain kind of energy that brings what's happening out there in the Creator's universe to come together and to collide with other things out there to bring to pass the things that they need in 2026. I will let no one distract me from that. I may lose you, but I cannot let anyone distract me from that prophetic ability. And the word for this year is reset. Go ahead and push that red button. Because when you reset, you may lose some of the software that was there. You may lose some of what you thought was going to get you through. You may lose some of the folk you thought was going to get you through. You may lose some of the employees that you thought, I'm not talking about me, I'm thinking some of the employees that you thought was going to get you through. But it's time now for you to push the button. And if you got to bite your lower lip, push the button. And when you spiritually press that button, watch what this world will do on your behalf. You may find yourself alone. But let me tell you something. I have been alone. This is what was happening to me in these last few weeks, especially around Christmas and New Year's and everything. I was feeling that aloneness. I was trying my best to make, in some areas, to make connections, and couldn't. Everybody was busy. And so now, finally, as we cross over this Rubicon, as we cross over this moment, and I'm able to look clear enough to see that that first word is reset. That first word is reset. Reset our minds concerning this country, then reset our minds concerning how we see the European Christian gospel. I sat down, and I'm be done, with the Gospel of John, John chapter 6, chapter 7, chapter 8, and chapter 9. And I began to read it over and over and over again. John chapter 6, remember this. That's why I didn't give you no scriptures to read today, because I'm giving it to you now. John chapter 6, chapter 7, chapter 8, chapter 9. Now I'm going to tell you what to look for. In John chapter 6, begin to look for an understanding of salvation. And I'm going to tell you what you're going to discover. The rest of this, how you explaining it, I'm going to be putting this, it's going to go on a paywall somewhere. It's going to either go on Dr. Ed's place, or it's going to go on a YouTube paywall, because I'm releasing such information. I have to be very, very careful what I release now. But this first part is you have to begin to realize this whole mindset thing. Salvation. What does it mean to be saved? People are going and now they're going back to trying to have what they call a revival. The whole Charlie Kirk thing, they're having a revival, that God is bringing a revival in the church. Jesus Christ is bringing a revival, and they're not talking about your Jesus Christ. You must begin to understand that there are two of them. There's always been two of them. Always been, from Jesus, who was James, who Jesus was his half brother. Then there was the Christ of Paul. Though there've always been two in history. We understand how it works. I've taught you how it works. There's the commercialism Christianity, then there's the real Christianity. There's the commercialism Jesus, or the mascot Jesus, and then there's the real ministry of Jesus. There's some things Jesus meant this, and Paul said something else. You just have to learn how to navigate the two. It's all right. Don't ever get confused about it. I got you on that. Don't ever be confused about it. But chapter 6 teaches about salvation. And one of the things it teaches is that when we enter into a conversation or the teachings of Jesus Christ, even at the very preliminary teachings of Jesus Christ, we actually become saved. It's not when you walk down an aisle. It's not when the preacher says, do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? No, how can you accept something you know nothing about? Do you believe that Jesus died for your sins? Name my sins. I don't know which one you're talking about. I got several. We didn't teach that. Black folk taught join the church. Now, that might not have been the best thing either, but what it did teach is that you have to have communion and community in order to bring about a real experience with Christ. Christ is not about what you feel in your heart about the Lord. Christ is how you treat your brothers and your sisters. Christ is a horizontal relationship with people around us. What are you going to do within your community? What people are you going to help bring up? If your relationship with the Lord does not help you bring other folks up, you got the wrong relationship. But then what kind of church is it that I'm going to that all they're concerned about is, are you getting your personal relationship with Jesus straight? Do you have a personal relationship with Jesus? Personal. What that does is just me and God, and all the rest of you go to hell. In other words, I really don't care what hell you go to, as long as you go, but as long as I go to heaven, then I'm fine. It's kind of like, hey, are you going to get involved with the civil rights? Are you going to be praying for Dr. King and praying for the movement, the Voting Rights Act and everything? Well, no, because our gospel teaches us we don't get involved in the social programs of America. We don't get involved in those social things like that. We just pray, and that if Christ comes into the heart for a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and when Christ comes into the heart, then the hearts of the people change. Tell that to Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, Pete Hexberg, and all the rest of them folks sitting up at the top. You tell them folk. They have crosses tattooed on their bodies and still don't believe in that stuff. They are Christian nationalists. They want this country to resemble what they want it to resemble. And what I'm saying is, you got to take your mind out of the current America. Reset. Rethink. Don't be ashamed of rethinking. Don't worry if people call you crazy. Open yourself up and begin to read. Somebody, well, I just read the Word of God. Once again, what is that? Just the Bible? That's the Word of God? Then tell John, the Apostle John. Tell Jesus, who is the Word made flesh. If Jesus is the Word made flesh, you can't read it physically because there was no Bible back then. The only thing written down back then was the Old Testament. The Septuagint was the Old Testament. It says, John says, in the beginning was the Word. There was no Bible in the beginning. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. There was no Bible. There was the Word in the beginning, but the word in the beginning, you couldn't even pronounce it. It was a sound. It was a A-E-I-O-U and Y vocabulary. A is abundance. E is enlightenment. I is illumination. O is opportunity, door of opportunity. U is about yourself and understanding who you are. And why are the questions you must start asking your society. Why are these people bombing? Why are these people doing this? Why are these people doing that? Why are my children going here? Why are my children going there? What should be the next move for my children? This particular college or this particular class? What should I be doing? How should I look at things? Where am I going to put my money that's going to make it safe? People put it all in their 401ks and things of that sort. And now the government is pulling it out. What is America doing? America starts squeezing money, like I told you, like a toothpaste tube. And they start squeezing the toothpaste like money coming out of the toothpaste tube. Now the toothpaste tube is empty. So what happens if the toothpaste tube is empty? They need money. Where are they going to get money? In other words, to put this to replace the toothpaste that they took out and took it somewhere else. Where are they going to get money? They can't tax the American people anymore. They can't tax them anymore because the American people are already frustrated that you done took them their money and fired them on their jobs and everything else. So where are they going to get the money from? They're going to find another country to bomb, another country to take over, to put that toothpaste back in the tube. It's a shell game, ladies and gentlemen. It's where it says, where is the queen? Oh, it's right there. I saw it. Sorry. And when they squeeze that money out, they're going to find another one. Why Venezuela? Why all the way over in that Pacific area? Why there? Yeah, it's oil. But it's also position. Position from what? Guess who's on the other side, on the Pacific side of Venezuela? China. As well, it's closer to Russia. America is going back into empire building. The very thing, here's the funny thing, the very thing that they call them the founding fathers. I don't like to call them that, but the very thing that those folk who did the documents and the constitutions said they did not want to happen. Now, they didn't believe that people of color, black folk and immigrants and everything should have rights. They didn't even believe their own white women should have rights. They didn't believe that. But they shouldn't have wrote it down, we the people. Because when they wrote it, whatever you don't want out there, don't write it down. That's why they're trying to collect and get rid of all the books. They wrote down, we the people of the United States of America, in order to form a more perfect union, establish and ensure domestic tranquility, do hereby establish. They wrote it down. And then somebody of other colors and countries believed it. When you write something, then you teach something. When you teach something, then you begin to believe. Believing is not acceptance. Believing is the understanding of the teaching. And when we understand that we the people mean we, not just you, now it changes everything. And that's what they pissed off at. And they got to get you out of here and get your mind back on Jordans, football games, basketball games. It's all right. Enjoy. All I'm saying is when you're done watching, get back into the battle. They want to get your mind on, you can make money just as well as some of the rest of them, to try to be that one black that breaks through out of the multiple millions of blacks that won't break through anything. No, baby. It's not enough to do that. You got to do it differently now. 2026. 2026. You must rethink how you give back into your churches. You must find the ones that are worthy of your gift and then give to the word that is in there. You must give into the word, into the knowledge, because the knowledge and the word that is spoken in those places and those creates an atmosphere for you. And when you go home, you create the same atmosphere in your marriage and your family and your children. You create this entire atmosphere. Hello, my friends. I'm Ed Montgomery. You know me, Pastor Ed, Dr. Ed. Thank you so much for doing what you do and contributing from your heart. People think giving comes from the pocket. Never has. It comes directly from the heart. In the world that we're living in right now, so many changes, so many things happening that will make us lose our faith. Listen, I've got to teach more than I've ever taught. Stay online more than I've ever been online. Because it's not just going to be enough to encourage. We're reteaching the faith. That's right, reteaching the faith. Because we have to begin to strengthen the teaching. so that people who've never heard this gospel like this before can hear it and continue to move on. So when you give, you're pushing me and telling me and challenging me to keep going forward. Take a moment, go to myalc.org. That's myalc.org, myalc.org, and go ahead and click that donate button. It is safe, it is secure, and not only that, but it only takes just a couple of minutes, maybe even a few seconds for those of you that are already signed up. Or if you want to use your phone, wherever you're watching or however you're watching, you can use text to give. And that's 713-742-2035, 713-742-2035. Or you can go old school and you can write a check and send it in to Abundant Life Center or Ed Montgomery. It doesn't go into my pocket, it goes into our ministry. 772-300, Houston, Texas, 77215. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for what you already do. I am praying for you, and I'm praying the best over your gift and over the offering. And I pray that abundance will continue to flow in your life in so many different ways. It'll warm your heart. God bless you.